Things are going to start happening to me now.
You've done all the reading. You're a scholar. You're a professor. You've done all the reading. You've done the intellectual heavy lifting.
More or less, eat shit and die.
You wouldn't know a fact if it begged you all night long.
Want to give the wrong impression, because I am very high.
Ran up behind him with a hatchet. Smash, smash, smash.
Yeah. Care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is,
Did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen.
That was the perfect answer. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. We've got Lonnie, we've got Tyler. This is the Libertarian Podcast Review. We're going to do a special one today. How you doing there, Andy?
I'm doing all right. You mean you got Ronnie here with you today? Lonnie was yesterday.
I can't keep track of all your pick names.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Just on the job hunt today, putting in some applications, working on my resume.
That's good. So, what does it pay to be a lady boy?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong fella.
No, I'm not. Literally, I'm not. Minder, yes, this is live. We're going to do a watch along. So this is John Fetterman, Senator Fetterman, decides to, be a senator, and he's mental. There's an issue with him, right? So he chaired a subcommittee of some sort. So we're going to watch along. And what do you know about this? Anything, Andy?
I support the caveman. We have to return to monkey. He also did a pretty good thing on 420, right? He came out with the it's 420 somewhere flag. So shout out to him. And he made me a true believer in stoned ape theory.
All right. What's your feeling about 420? So the Libertarian Party sent out a mass email and like a fundraiser thing. And I'm like, I don't know that you guys did this on any, you do it on other things, but this seemed to be, why is this such a high priority? It seems, I don't know. I'm not a pot smoker, I guess. Maybe that's my problem. But I also just am like, is it really the thing we need the party and that contingent really needs to focus on?
Well,
yes.
Okay. Weed culture is pretty gay.
Yes.
I'm not anti-pot. So
no,
yeah, it's pretty gay.
Minder, no, you don't have to. This is going to be a fun thing. Yes, we are also talking about that as well. No, this is going to be an enjoyable thing. Okay, I can't speed it up, so I don't know how we're going to maintain this, but feel free to pipe in at any point, Andy. So here we go on C-SPAN. Let me know if there's any hearing problems.
Next, a hearing on federal food assistance in the upcoming Farm Bill before the Senate Agriculture Subcommittee on Food and Nutrition. It was chaired by Senator John Fetterman, his first time chairing the subcommittee after an extended absence for treatment for depression. During the hearing, witnesses talked about the impact and ongoing needs of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
Was it just depression, or was it he had a stroke too?
Proposals to cut or add restrictions.
I don't know. I don't believe any of it. This is an hour and 40
minutes.
What's going to be interesting, just the initial.
What's he got in that Gatorade bottle, you think?
His urine from earlier.
I call to this hearing of the U.S. Senate Subcommittee on Food and Nutrition, Specialty Crops, Organics, and Research to order.
Oh, okay.
Chairwoman Stabenow. And Ranking Member Boozman, thank you so much for coming. I thank you for your...
I'm going to try not to stop too much here, but I think it's going to be interesting because they're going to pan around to the crowd, and it's going to be interesting to watch them. It's like we just did Downs Capade Barbie, and
no way, he's the retard Ken to Downs Barbie.
Right. That's exactly right. And maybe I'll put that's a thumbnail. thoughts here. But it's like watching your Downs daughter get up on stage and say a poem or sing off key. That's the crowd here. They're like, oh, isn't this cute? Oh, look at him. He's wearing a suit. Someone helped him put it in the ties even. It's not a clip-on, guys. So that's the level of participation you're going to see from the crowd, the smiles here, and this dopey homo behind him. Anyway, any comments?
Same vibes. Everyone looks thrilled to be sitting there with a retard, but it's not like they're actually interested in what he has to say. It's all just like, we're so proud of you.
Right. Oh, look what she's going to be able to read this script. Okay.
Your leadership on this committee, and I look forward to working with you to pass a farm bill.
Oh, look at her nod.
A farm bill that works for small farmers, rural communities, and hungry Americans. I would also like to thank my ranking member, Senator Braun. And I look forward to working closely with you.
He's reading this better than you read our
programs to fight hunger and poverty in the country. In my time and effort in IFAS, as the mayor of Braddock to lieutenant governor to now, I have heard from Pennsylvanians about their support for SNAP. Hunger is not a Republican or a Democrat issue. It's all of our issue that we have to take it on.
Look at the guy behind him. Nose rings.
We need to come together and stop playing political games with Americans' access to food. Americans like about Corey Jor from the north to the town of Northeast in Pennsylvania.
How do we get him the nuclear football? What do I need to do to get him the codes to the nukes?
Money, and he relied.
Oh, he has them. Well, I don't know why you think he doesn't.
Mr. Jor is not the first Pennsylvanian I've heard this from. I fear he won't be the last. And I will work in this farm bill to modernize SNAP to work the recipients in the 21st century.
Oh, look at that chin on Miss Heather Reynolds.
I'm hearing from you.
She's got a few of
God. Got a mustache? Look at this guy back here. He wrote it. He wrote the speech.
It's on the farm bill. And I will now turn to Senator Braun for any
energy secretary, isn't he?
Would like to make.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to our witnesses for being here today. This is the second earlier this year when Secretary.
Okay, I'm going to skip through this guy because we don't really care what he says, but I'm trying to get to the Fetterman
pilot in wellness, and it also employment out closing the loopholes. EWDs live in waived.
Miner says, I would personally love to see more Americans starve. That's based on Andy's recent Tinder matches.
Has been in place since '96 and was passed with bipartisan support.
We're starving from obesity,
including that of Senator Joe Biden. Today, 18 states, including California and New York, operate with full state waivers. And in fact, half of SNAP's ABAWDs live in waived areas, many of which actually have low unemployment and ample job listings. I think this is an opportunity to find more employment and help feed those better that need it. We'll hear from our witnesses today about how SNAP.
None of these people believe a word they're fucking
recipients
saying.
Escape poverty.
It's a
and
scam.
I'm really looking forward to what each one of you has to say. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. And we will now move to introduce our witnesses. And I'm excited about the panel that we have us with us today.
There you go. I'm glad he showed it.
Now.
Hang on, stop it real quick.
Cox is the vice president of the.
What small animal do you think is on the? He's got like a hamster wheel in his brain or something. But who's controlling the gears in there? The lights are on, but nobody's home.
Right. What's funny is with in Rumble when I'm setting it up and you can have categories, and there's a category and then a subcategory. So the category first one I picked was, and it never applies to politics and stuff. It's always weird. So I picked entertainment, and then subcategory I picked heroic animal. About as close as I can get. Oh, when you say hamster wheel, that's look at all that adversity. Yes, that's the point.
The
Okay,
food
here we go.
assistance policy at the Senate for Budget and Policy Priorities.
There you go.
Welcome. Ms. Heather Reynolds is the managing director of the Lab for Economic Opportunities at Notre Dame.
Look at that goatee.
Ugh,
Welcome.
gross.
And Mrs. Lori Jones John, and the CEO of Philabunts,
What?
the
She looks
largest
pleasant.
food bank in Pennsylvania, and is also serves of Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Hey,
Pencil
it's a
Serves
Jersey.
great
what?
organization from a great state that I've heard of pretty well.
Pennsylvania, Jersey.
We certainly agree.
Oh, that's cute.
Mr. James Whitford of the Executive Directory of the Watered Gardens in Joplin, Missouri. Sir, I like that look.
This is great.
And
So far, I'm on board.
Finally, Mrs. Whitley Hastings of the Outreach Specialist, which the Hunger Feed America for Food Link in New York. And Mrs. Cox, you are now recognized for 5 minutes.
Chair Stabenow and Fetterman, Ranking Member Braun, members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm Ty Jones Cox, Vice President of Food Assistance Policy at the Center on Budget and Policy
5
Priorities.
minutes. So do you mind if we skip ahead?
Policy Institute in
Or do you want to hear what she has
Washington,
to say?
DC. I want to make
I have
3 key
no
points.
interest in what she's
Snap. It just leaves them and their families with less money for food. No one can work when they are hungry. SNAP is an important but modest benefit at only $6 per person per day. And SNAP spending did increase during the pandemic, when it greatly reduced hunger, but SNAP spending has begun to fall with the end of the emergency pandemic provisions.
You know what? I
Families
wish who
are
was on the
already
panel would be like some fucking crackhead Tyrone and Tyrita up there. They're like, we need that SNAP instead of this like parasite that's up here.
Right. Okay, let's look at this chin, see what she has to
including
say.
those subject to the 3-month time limit, people with drug-related felony convictions, and people living in certain U.S.
I
territories.
need my food stamps. I've
In
been trading my
conclusion,
food stamps
in
for rocks every
2018,
day.
This committee showed you can find
Tyrone?
bipartisan agreement to protect
You
and
have any
modestly
idea what's going
strengthen
on?
SNAP with the Farm Bill. It got 86 votes from senators. As this committee works to develop the 2023 Farm Bill, I urge.
By the way, it would be fun to go through and actually listen to what they're saying and just shoot it down. Because all I heard there was SNAP. We totally helped during the pandemic when the government shut everyone down. Now it's waning, and so we probably need more or another pandemic. You know, it's just, I don't know what
to work in that
people
vein
want.
to shore up this program that has already proven to be so successful at reducing hunger among our most vulnerable and protect it from cuts that would take food away from the people who need it most. Thank you.
Let's auction off other people's money.
Thank you, Mrs. Cox.
Oh, he likes that.
Thank you, Chairman Fetterman, Ranking Member Braun, and members of the committee. I serve at the Wilson Sheehan Lab for Economic Opportunities, or LEO, at the University of Notre Dame, where we work
There you
with
go, Notre
providers
Dame.
across the country to build rigorous evidence
She's-
around programs
you know she's good
designed
friends
to
with
move
Mayor
people
Booty.
out of poverty.
Mayor Butt
Prior
Plug.
to joining LEO, I spent
Yep.
2 decades as CEO of Catholic Charities Fort Worth. I will never forget meeting Marcia, a single
Okay, I don't want to hear
upward
about Marsha.
mobility. They've given you the answers, they've allowed researchers into their business, and now we owe it to them to let their evidence scale about what works. Family First and McGee's
Experts
laws
say we
give
need
us
more money.
Good precedent for how
Print
we
more
can
money.
put evidence first and make it actionable for providers. In both cases, federal law now requires providers to either use an evidence-based program or to build rigorous evidence.
I mean,
the clearinghouse
she
to
definitely doesn't
verify
need
the validity and
extra
strength
food. I
of
mean,
the
right?
research
The hungry
proving
issue
a
is
program
feeding her
is
family.
impactful. This combination of legislation requirements plus a well-run clearinghouse shows us a path forward. As policymakers,
Oh, I just
Thank
hate
you.
how like smug they are. You know,
Yeah, and this was
the
the
whole,
perfect meeting for him because no one's going to push back on this stuff. So
Yeah.
Mrs. Jones Brown.
and just the incentive of the
Good
whole
afternoon,
meeting
Chairman
is,
Fetterman,
you know,
Ranking
how can
Member
we
Braun,
make
and
poverty
members of
more
the committee.
accessible?
I'm Lori Jones Brown, and I have the honor of serving as the Chief Executive Officer of Philabundance, a hunger relief organization serving 5 counties in southeastern Pennsylvania and 4 counties in southern New Jersey, and a member of Feeding America, a network of over 200 food banks in the country. I'm here to share why passing a bipartisan farm bill is critical to the food security of our neighbors in need and the well-being of our
these people
nation's
haven't
economy
farmed
and food
shit. They
system.
don't.
Yeah, I was like, look
We even
at
have a
it.
list that you.
Right.
Equitable and consistent access to food. I often quote Martin Luther King Jr.
I'm
and
sure
he
you do.
said, life's most persistent and
course
urgent
they
question is,
quote
what are you
MLK.
doing for others? With this farm bill, we can do something.
Renowned
We can pull people
farmer
together.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Whitford.
Chairman Fetterman, Ranking Member Braun,
This is the guy I hate the
subcommittee
most.
members, thank you for allowing me to
He should know
testify
better.
Because he's
today.
white.
Yeah.
23 years ago, my wife and I started a small ministry in Southwest Missouri that's grown quite a bit over the last 2 decades. Today, we offer emergency shelter services. We have a long-term recovery program for men focused on character development and work readiness. We have a family center that helps moms and kids struggling with homelessness. We even have a respite unit where folks that are coming out of the hospital discharging but don't
think
have
he's
anywhere
paying
to
his
go,
fair share in taxes?
they're able to come into our respite unit.
Yeah.
We also have a robust food ministry where we're helping hundreds of families in our area with tens of thousands of pounds of.
Damn, dog.
Let me
How
just
many
tell you,
nonprofits you got?
Right. So when the LP California came to town, they had their convention Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, I think. Yeah. So Saturday, I'm driving downtown Sacramento because I didn't stay down at the hotel, my house. And I'm going down where I used to work, right downtown. And there's this park called Cesar Chavez Park. And it was always, the name, first of all. But it was the homeless had taken it over. This was years, I worked right across the street from it. I mean, I'd walk over there all the time or through there. And now it's so bad, but it was a Saturday morning. And of course, all these food banks are there. They're standing up, they're getting their food, they're serving it, and the homeless are just everywhere around there. And it's right across the street from City Hall. And they're tents, everything. And so, at some point you go, it's okay. We used to try to feed the homeless and help them and stuff. Now these groups are really they're a problem. I mean, they're as bad as the homeless because of what they're allowing things to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there was some recent stories that came out about these like homeless entrepreneur types or whatever that are making 6 figures on the government dole just to, we need to solve the housing crisis and the homeless problem.
Yeah.
But yet everything they do incentivizes homelessness and and this type of behavior. So
when I lived in Denver, I listened to the local or the talk radio guy there, Mike Rosen, his name. He's awesome. And he always talked about Austrian economics, and I never really understood or cared. However, every year he would talk to this one guy that had this shelter there in town. It was called Step 13, and he was completely different than everyone else. He wouldn't take government money. He would force everyone to have a job. They had their own little businesses, and there would always be someone coming out of there saying this was a different situation than all the other ones I had gone to. He tries to teach you accountability. So you have to pay rent. So what that is, he has a car wash business that, helped. Anyway, it was just a different way of turning it around. Of course, he was always struggling against the city with all these kind of things, and he's actually changing lives. I don't know what the status is of that thing anymore, but anyway, it's interesting.
Food every year, but is a national epidemic. Consider for just a moment.
Wait, let's hear what the national epidemic is.
Okay. Anticipation, expectation, entitlement, and dependency. I have seen that downward track for far too many people. And after more than 20 years of working among the poor and now working with leaders across the nation in various cities who are also fighting poverty, I'm convinced that we are in a national crisis of dependency.
Huh.
In fact, I would say that dependency is a national epidemic.
Consider
for just a moment that there are more people who are dependent on federal anti-poverty programs than there are people living in poverty. Just in the food stamp program alone, we have 5 million people dependent on it who are above the poverty line. Not to mention that if we look at those who are below the poverty line, it's about 37 million Americans. Almost all of them are dependent on the government in some form or another. 96%.
Oh God! Nightmare fuel.
70% of them will never escape. What that means is that we have about 24.8 million Americans today who are on a trajectory to die in dependent poverty. Dependency is a national epidemic.
Wow.
Marvin Olasky, in his book, The Tragedy of American Compassion, The Tragedy of American
Okay,
Compassion,
maybe I like this guy.
He said dependency is merely slavery with a smiling mask.
Wow.
I believe that FDR would have agreed.
He's a white
in
guy,
his
though.
1935 State of the Union address. He compared dependence on relief as a subtle narcotic, a destroyer of the human spirit. Now, FDR said it, but I know a woman named Jocelyn who actually lived it. For 10 years, actually more than that, she was a needle drug addict living on the streets.
Oh, of course.
Came into our mission, came to faith in
This is
Christ,
Sparta moment about to
got
come up.
clean, but she didn't give up her food stamps. It was a lot of work for us to convince her that she had the ability to provide for herself. And when she finally did voluntarily give up her food stamp card, her trajectory changed. She ended up going to college, got her master's degree. And
Notice
now
how he's
she
not reading the
runs
script
one
either.
of our shelters.
Yeah.
You can imagine reporters were interested in doing a story. And there before the
Probably,
camera,
I would
in a
imagine,
report-
because he
in an interview
lives
with a
this and he,
reporter,
no, they're just
she said,
trying to suck
it
money.
was harder for me to give up food stamps than it was for me to give up heroin. Dependency is a form of slavery that's holding millions of Americans back from living the flourishing life
Go,
that God
James.
intended. And for Jocelyn, her dignity.
Imagine how hard it is to be
her
the black
freedom,
woman
the
next to
flourishing
him right
life
now.
She lives, it didn't come through welfare or food stamps. It came through
Slavery.
faith, friendships, and work. And let me leave you with this last comment from a woman I met last week named Selena, who is also homeless.
Mexican.
And she said, I just want to thank you for doing the things the way that you do them. Allowing me to work for my bed and my meals has allowed me to feel like I can keep my dignity. For Selena, it's the same. She also will step into the flourishing life through faith, friendship, and work. Thank you.
Wow.
Damn. Hell yeah. Shout out to that guy.
Thank you. Now, is Hasty?
Oh, he couldn't
Thank
say her
you.
name.
Hi, everyone. My name is Whitley Hasty, and I'm honored to be here today to share how the Supplemental Nutrition Program has positively impacted the lives of me and my children.
We're dependent.
I wanna
We're those
thank you,
slaves these guys have talked about.
Chair Fetterman, Chairwoman Stabenow, Ranking Senator Braun,
I don't know if I want to hear much of
and
this, but
for having me the hearing and having me here to testify. I'd like to thank
Single
my
mom?
own Senator, Senator Gillibrand, for continuously championing solutions to end hunger.
Gillibrand. There you go.
I'm the proud mother of a 7-year-old daughter. She
Single?
is sweet, protective,
Where's the
hilarious, and cautiously independent. My 3-year-old son is the opposite of her. He's grounded, generally likes to follow the
Let's
rules.
get these ages right.
I'd like to thank
7
my
and
own
3.
Senator, Senator Gillibrand.
7 and 3,
Larry.
okay.
They're the center of, I work really hard to model for my kids the importance of civic and community duty. And I'm raising my children the way my mother raised
Can't see
me.
her wedding finger.
She
So
never, almost never missed a day of work and still made time to support 4 children in multiple activities in 3 different schools.
Well, she had
She earned a modest
4
salary,
husbands
but it
or
often bluntly
baby
and still
daddies to
describes our
support.
upbringing as one flat tire away from eviction.
Wow.
We often do not see the sacrifices our parents make until we grow up and make them ourselves. With the help
Same
of SNAP,
mistakes.
we were able to shop for healthier
Yeah.
foods rather than get by on just the basics. As the oldest, I learned how to grocery shop on a limited budget and still maximize the nutritional value of our meals.
she's got a ring on
Working
her
since the
wedding
age of
finger, but
13,
I don't think it's
I've
a
always
wedding
craved the
ring.
independence that comes with making an honest income. Even during
Promise
college
ring.
while on scholarship, I
Yeah.
held down 2 jobs while I worked at the dining campus hall and at Wegmans. My resume is lengthy because I've always been willing, able, and ready to work.
So what's your point?
I'm proud of my strong work ethic and career advancement, but also know that much of what I've accomplished could not have been achieved without SNAP. In 2000,
This is disingenuous because this guy could probably tell you, maybe he will at some point go, this is not the woman I'm concerned about. She's working. She used it as a stepladder. It's these guys, and he points to the 2 black guys in the back. It's those guys I'm worried about. Anyway, guess we keep going here. Nothing to say about that. All right, I'll just.
That was good. How do I follow that up?
And WIC during my prenatal care.
Right.
And applying for both processes were really difficult. The 2 applications being separate meant that I missed work twice and lost wages to appear at DHS at 8 a.m., only to wait in line for hours, and with, among other families.
Crackheads.
I'm grateful to the caseworker who helped me navigate this process, and I know the staff were trying to make this process as seamless as possible, but I do understand why some eligible participants are too intimidated to apply.
No,
That's
they're
why I
not.
support Senator Gillibrand's proposal to make it easier.
No one's.
I'm a perfect example. Our
okay.
legislation reduced poverty and hunger
You're one of
during one of the largest
like,
economic collapses of our
you're
lifetime.
the exception to the rule. Let's be honest.
My life refused the most
She's
common
probably still on
myth.
Snap. You know what I mean? She's getting some type
Every day I
of
witness
government
the return of-
assistance.
And
I can't listen to these people.
Questions.
Oh, good. There we go.
it remains a vital truth that medicine is food and it should still be regarded as such. Thank you again for this opportunity.
Yes, Spud. This is amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank all of you. And now we will now begin the 5-minute rounds of questions for each member. And I will begin with my own now.
Oh, shit.
Mrs. Cox. Currently, states allow SNAP mostly to do what they fit.
What?
I'm concerned about about proposals to limit this. My own state of Pennsylvania has the ability to seek waivers on work requirements and times, and depending on employment metrics. This also includes tools to ensure that low-wage working household avoiding a benefit cliff. Can you possibly explain the potential impact if these proposals would have on states?
I was thinking that same thing earlier. Those glasses barely fit.
Thank you for the.
Did you ever see? I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He used to do a lot of Olympic stuff, like PBS, and he would have hours of this stuff. And he was Bob Rosberg or something like that. His head was bald, and he always had glasses. And you never see him wearing them. I don't know. So that's what Fetterman.
Question. So when we think about the waivers,
Did she just say, I don't understand your question?
While unemployment has come down across the country, there are still areas
doesn't
that
understand
have
much.
higher unemployment. And so it can,
Right.
And states have each state has experienced some crisis, whether it's
I
a
don't know if you want to
natural
hear much of this answer.
disaster,
I want to get to these
plant
questions.
closing, to evaluate the need, the income. Taking that away, we tax older.
Thank you, Mrs. Cox. And I actually have one more kind of a brief, another question, please.
Not a follow-up, though, because you can't do that.
Many SNAP households have had benefits stolen through skimming.
Yeah,
Victims face the serious challenge of losing their purchase power.
What?
When debit cards are skimmed, they are protections for the car holder.
He has to think so hard about each word.
What needs can be done to ensure that families have that same kind of being protecting?
Right. So there's been a lot of skimming over the last few years. And so what's really important is that SNAP participants have the same consumer protections that everyone else has. If you have a debit or a credit card and you have protections for your purchases, the same should happen for EBT card users. I do want to say.
Did she say the same shit happens for EBT cards? Look, here's who's skimming off of these things. It's their baby daddy. He's coming in, he's stealing the SNAP card, and he's going out and he's getting his 40 of Hennessy for his other lady. That's what's happening. So,
you know how many times I've been stopped in the grocery store parking lot? Like, I got food stamps, but I can't get cigarettes with these food stamps. I'll get you whatever you want. You can load up your cart. I just need a couple of packs of Newports. Help me out, white boy.
Yeah. And what do you do about it?
Oh, I'm loading up the cart.
Okay. Benzo wants to know if glasses come in 4XL. By the way, we did a whole show about you last night, Barbie. What is he even saying? Spud says, we don't know, but we're going to keep playing this.
He doesn't know either.
Of Congress to restore stolen benefits, and that's over the next year or so. But we really want to make sure.
I bet he had his questions are all prepared, and then he probably gave them to them so they can answer it, so they can have time to at least figure out what he's saying.
That any new
she's looking at something she's reading.
Technology doesn't prevent technology or hold any differently than other consumers in our any less protections than other consumers.
Thank you. I don't know if that's true. We need.
You let Toad DM you, so you clearly have downs.
This is Jones Brown. Food banks are really
okay. We got a technical question here. Is that what skimming is? Okay. I don't actually know. What do you think they're talking about? Is it someone, those machines where you go use an ATM card or whatever, and it's really not. They're taking money out, or I don't know what they mean by skimming in this sense. Is it what they're talking about what you're doing, or
I don't know. If I had to guess, maybe you could also say maybe the grocery stores are like upcharging items that are on EBT or something. I don't know.
Okay, maybe so. Good point. I don't know, Spud. That's really not our concern. We're more interested in this dumb bear.
Critical for the support foundation of SNAP. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
The Emergency Food Assistance Program, or TFAP, was established to provide emergency food assistance to low-income individuals. And these individuals may not qualify for SNAP, but they might need additional support. Food banks like Philabundance, and knowing personally the kind of quality of the work that you do in my own state, They distribute 85% of
They thawed this.
TFAP
He was just recently thawed out before they put him in this room. He was in a block of ice.
Food costs. How have you been able to allow you to continue to provide food support?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. And the reality is that food banks of full abundance, our partners across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and really across the country, we heavily rely on the government food programs that support farmers across this country that also end up supporting us, enabling us to ensure that today we're calling on state.
A bunch of welfare whores.
Yep. Thank you. And now I recognize Ranking Member Braun for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I want to see someone go at that guy.
I think food insecurity by trying to get it below 10%. We've not been able to do that. Families with children, without. It's been 20 years, and we spend more.
Okay, these people are horrible. Okay.
Goodwill Excel Center, Catholic Charities Padua. Those are all proven by rigorous evidence that they work to give low-income Americans a pathway out of poverty so they, 5 years from now, a few years from now, can be feeding their families and not needing SNAP benefits.
Mr. Whitford.
Senator Braun, I think that you're right. Things have continued to increase. In 1969, if we were going to look at the average food stamp allotment for a person with dollars equated to today, it would be about $50. And now we're talking like 230 or something per person. So it's just continued to increase. The numbers have continued to increase. And I think really going back to even something that Mrs. Cox was saying about state flexibility, we do need to see more local control, because truth be told, the people that are in my community, I know their needs much better than anyone else. And there are some folks who would benefit and do well, just as Ms. Hasty did, and utilizing these benefits correctly. And there are some who do not. And I'm the one in my community and those like me who understand that. There's a 100-year-old adage that says intelligent giving and intelligent withholding are alike true charity. Sometimes it's compassionate to say, no, we're not going to move in that direction. But right now, SNAP, TFAP, they tie your hands, and you don't have that ability. So we need that ability. We need that local control.
I feel like this guy's about to hit everybody with the conditional hypothetical breakfast test.
Ms. Reynolds, in your
How would you have felt if you
testimony,
didn't
shared
have
the story of
breakfast
3
yesterday?
charitable
How would you have
organizations
felt by
that
dinner?
Leo is partnered with, including
So this is the
out of my
Republican,
neck
so
of the woods, the
he's
Goodwill
going to ask
Excel
some.
Center of Center against.
Let's go.
We can't
We're not
scratch our
interested in
heads
you.
Sure, I think, again,
Let's family first, where when you have federal
She
law
might be on the-
requiring that people use evidence or are creating the usage of evidence where it doesn't exist, paired with clearinghouses that are set up that are actionable to all of us.
Sure, I think, again, measuring evidence-based practice is incredibly important. And so
yeah, I will
outcomes are
make it a
incredibly
drinking game, but I'm at work.
to measure.
Oh, I'm drinking coffee. Andy,
It's
you're probably
important
vaping
among
on
private charities.
heroin.
It's
What is
certainly
it?
going to be important among government
Yeah, this is,
programs. And I think
I
that's
actually
what
got
we've
this
got to look
vape
at,
right
not
here with the
thinking that the
snap
efficacy
with a snap
program
card.
is dependent upon the number of
Did you really?
people that are enrolled.
No, not on.
Or rather, the efficacy of a program.
Not on
being
welfare.
Okay,
no.
let's
We
get to
do. So
Fetterman.
sooner or later,
Come on.
Senator Braun of the Nutrition Subcommittee. We've got a great team. And let me
No, you
just
don't.
echo
You guys are all
what
pieces of
Senator
shit.
Braun said in terms of evidence-based programs. I couldn't agree more. If that's what we do, we will get consensus.
Debbie, stab
we'll get
me now?
bipartisan support and keep it based on evidence. That's what we need to do. I also wanted to thank Ms. Hasty. Thank you so much for bringing a real life perspective
Oh, a
to what we
Democrat
are.
from Michigan.
Yeah, because we've got a robot up here, a retarded robot chairing this committee, and we need real something.
Appreciate you very much. You know, our nutrition programs in the Farm Bill provide a modest but incredibly important support for
Look at this
Americans,
goblin.
including a lot.
I think it's
Added
Nancy
for
Reagan come
adults
back to haunt us.
or suspend leave.
She looks like she
Okay.
works at the
Farm
bank in
Bill.
Harry Potter.
Dietary guidelines different
Right.
in people.
More about
No, if there was a restaurant used to go for food insecure,
Oh, Fetterman's gone.
just having a hard time,
where'd he
he
go?
had to come to.
He disappeared, dog.
Thanks to Chairman Fetterman and Ranking Member Braun for holding the hearing. It's interesting. I think right now the base of the Farm Bill is $1.5 trillion. $1.2 trillion has to do with food.
I want to see him
assistance.
come back in.
This is something that's really very, very important, and we appreciate you all being here and sharing your expertise.
What if he just walks in like Frankenstein's monster? Hands on the table.
With Snap and WIC today. It's always good to hear directly from those that have been in your time.
Okay.
Thank you for the question, and thanks again for allowing me to speak. And then I think every time.
Oh, there he comes. Let's go back.
That was
because we're here for Fetterman. Okay.
As anyone will tell you, receiving SNAP, there's also living with the stigma of being labeled as someone who has failed. So that was not an.
Yeah, well, that happens, right? I mean, let's say you had 3 kids out of wedlock with 3 different daddies, and you were a stripper the whole time, and I don't want to just say it's okay. So you made mistakes. So you deal with that stigma, and how are you going to make it so that your kids aren't called bastards? I don't know.
You get back up there on that pole, whore. You work for your money.
You want me to back up? You said.
No, I was saying that bitch needs to get back up there on that pole. She wants to make some money.
Oh,
the aspect of it, but
here he comes.
Proud.
What if his zipper
fact
is
that
undone?
I was able to support my family with the help of SNAP. I think every time
they rubbed some stem cells on them in the back room
like
back
a higher
there.
wage, I was, I can look back and reflect and see that I can attribute
Minder's
that
out.
to
We lost
the way in which it
Minder.
helped me stretch my budget and keep
I know,
paying
but
my
he's
bills and not have to,
looking at
continue
he's
to
looking at
pay
this
late rent fees and
racially
things like
ambiguous
that. So,
woman and had to go read an erotica
it's-
novel.
Yeah,
it's been progressive, but yeah.
Well, the other thing too I wanted to ask you about, and you touched on it, you've been an ambassador at the curbside and the paper snap
With individuals that I
for us to these types of programs.
Period of time to get them into.
Okay, let's get back to our buddy
During
John
the
Fetterman.
full
He
committee
looks
hearing
intense.
on
Okay.
nutrition,
heck is this?
I asked Undersecretary
Rosie
Dean
O'Donnell.
about her experience at a Minnesota SNAP employment and training site.
Someone
and
just
she,
woke up. Oh, Klobuchar,
spoke
yeah.
very positively about our model and even suggested it could be good.
Kids are very learning, not just.
Come
And
on.
we're seeing in part
Thank you for the question. Your additional food.
rich dairy products like yogurt and cheese. What opportunities exist to expand the reach of the program to include more dairy products nationwide?
Thanks for the question, Senator. So yeah, the GusNet program, which in the last Farm Bill actually did receive an increase, that's pretty much one of the strongest programs that we'll be able to use.
They're specifically talking about like different types of cheese and whatnot. It's like, at what point are they just going to give recipes and make you only pick off of those? I mean, these people are crazy.
Or we could.
Got to get that government cheese.
Thank you, Senator.
Sweet.
And now recognize Senator Booker for 5 minutes.
Thanks so much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
We might need to listen to this
I'm
horrible
really grateful
person.
to be here, and I loved the testimony that we heard today. I just want to say very
Why?
clearly, first and foremost, it's important that we protect SNAP. I think I'm one of the small handful of senators that live in a very low-income neighborhood, and I see every day
That's how you
the
got
profound
elected.
difference that SNAP makes in the lives of people who are working hard, who are struggling to make it. We live in a country where just finding housing, you have to make more than twice the minimum wage in my state just to be able to afford your housing needs. And we are seeing in my communities across
That's a
New
nice
Jersey
suit.
how
Go out
SNAP
and buy
is
somebody a house.
powerful program.
Right.
And so what we're seeing is program
All right.
food.
I don't want
A
to.
nutrition
Once again,
program
where's our
for
fat?
families. And
Neighbor at need in a pantry. They're asking.
ask you, I'm going to stay with you, Ms. Brown. My time's out, but I want to ask one last question. 1 out of every 3 women incarcerated on the planet Earth is in the United States of America. We're
Hell
the
yeah,
land of
let's
the
go.
free, but we incarcerate women, overwhelmingly women who have been survivors of sexual violence, sexual trauma.
Is that a crime now? Is that what he's saying?
95 to 100,
To survive?
95 to
It
98%
should be.
of them coming home. They've got children that they've been separated from that often end up in multiple different foster homes. And we know, against evidence-based, as Ms. Reynolds said, that when you do things to strengthen the connection with their children, they have lower recidivism rates. and they're more successful.
I would like to hear from the white guy, Whitlock, or I don't know, whatever his name is. Maybe say, how about these government programs are weakening the family, right? You have the dependency now instead of on the father, you have it on the government, who's daddy, and they don't need daddy at home. So then they end up like Steven Crowder and getting divorced.
How does it make sense?
Sorry.
And again, I'm a man of
Steven
faith, so I
Crowder.
believe in the prodigal story, the prodigal benefits to get.
All right.
Month additional
Future alcoholic,
child
or maybe
tax credit.
current alcoholic, Steven
Kennedy's
Crowder.
data shows that it actually.
in that, and we've
You, Senator Booker, for your commitment to such an important issue.
Wait, did Fetterman talk? Can I hear it?
Well, thank you, Senator. And now I recognize Senator Gillibrand for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator
gentlemen.
Booker, for your commitment to such an important issue. I'd like to give the floor to Ms. Hasty a bit. I would like to hear.
Oh, God, you're all disgusting. Miss Hasty, Ms. Pasty.
Oh, so brave.
You know,
For today is only $6.10 a day. Obviously, you can't feed yourself and 2 kids.
Wait,
More
is it
detail
going to be a
about
minimum
that
wage
in the-
problem now?
written testimony that I've prepared.
Thank you. Ms. Hasty, the SNAP benefit today is only $6.10 a day. Obviously, you can't feed yourself and 2 kids on $6.10 a day.
Sounds like you need to find a
talk
job.
little bit about how SNAP supplemented what you were able to buy from your income and from your earnings, and what difference SNAP actually made to being able to buy more healthy foods for your children and yourself.
Right. So it's obviously a supplemental program. So we know that it's not meant to be your entire food budget every month. I think the difference with and without SNAP, if you kind of picture going to the grocery store without SNAP, you have to think about how much money should be left so that that utility bill could be paid. So without SNAP, you might only purchase bread, milk, and eggs because you know that you can, eat those things for the.
So, I mean, they're on one hand, they're saying, on one hand, they're saying SNAP, is great because it helps me get off, it helps me move myself along. And then the other one's like, yeah, but it's only $6 a day. And I'm like, yeah, so actually it doesn't do shit. So which is it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's either feeding your family of 6 illegitimate bastard children, or it's you're only able to get milk and eggs. Which
and it's a useless program.
The rest of the week, but with SNAP, it kind of just gives you more flexibility. You can buy fruits and vegetables and have raw fruits and vegetables in your house, and not just have the basic staples. So it just gives you you can focus more on the nutrition instead of just kind of making these impossible choices.
Thank you, Ms. Hasty. And just last for Mrs. Jones.
When he was busting that thing open for
can you talk a
Tyrone,
little
was that
bit
an impossible
about,
choice or what?
Students who
Right.
need access to
19
SNAP,
cents a day,
and also
says
the
Barbie.
importance of
She
making
could build
sure
an
that we
African village.
move
That's
Puerto
true. I've
Ricans
seen it on
from
TV.
NAP to SNAP.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the question.
Tired of this Jones
like
and
ours.
Ms. Cox.
200 food banks secure. And so we're able to.
Thank you so
About ways that we can ensure that our neighbors have access to the food that they need, not just
I don't care about my
continental
neighbors.
U.S., but also in Puerto Rico.
Thank you.
Oh, Puerto
Mine are
Rico
fat.
too.
Like Washington.
Thank you, Senator. And now I recognize Senator Warnock for 5 minutes.
Oh God.
He's the Georgia guy.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Chair, and it's great to see you back.
Oh, it's
during the
two
pandemic,
intellectual titans right
Congress
here.
provided an emergency to food assistance program.
Amy Klobuchar reminds me of Sandra Bernhard, the lesbian Nancy from the Roseanne show. Yes. True that.
Programs called emergency SNAP allotments. This boost ended in a number of states last month, but
Okay, we're gonna move ahead
As
on
well, in fact, one of our
backwards in this farm bill, and I'll be doing everything I can to expand
I'm sure you will.
and protect federal nutrition benefits. In the time that I still have, currently non-disabled adults without dependents are only eligible for SNAP for 3 months out of every 3 years unless they work 80 hours per month. Now, I believe the vast majority of SNAP
Only 80?
recipients who are able to work do so. But we need to bear in mind that most SNAP recipients are children, elderly, or disabled. some of my colleagues in the House and also in the Senate have talked about expanding existing work requirements for SNAP. Ms. Cox, can you tell us about these proposals and what?
It's always these two.
There was a
I don't want to hear about.
So let's start with Dr.
I'm so I'm like tired from diversity.
Yeah.
Thank you, Senator.
Wait, I got to hear him talk.
Actual data in mind as we write this year's Farm Bill.
Oh,
thank you,
that's what he did.
Senator. Now recognize Senator Marshall for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate all of our witnesses hanging through this lunch hour. Now, I don't know about you, but I grew up every lunch in school that we got to drink whole milk. I would actually get 2 cartons of whole milk.
Look at, he's
and
got
I
a
hope that you
prop.
all would support me.
Is that
how
Flint?
important
Is that the
milk
Flint
and
water?
Milk products are to the programs that you run. So just bear with me a moment here.
Oh God. Chug it, chug it, chug it.
So good.
Oh my
Start
God.
with, Dr. Whitford. My first question should be, how is Coach Self doing?
How do
But I
people
assume you
buy,
don't have
like?
any,
How do
exact
people
knowledge
watch
off
this
the-
and buy any of it? I don't understand. Like what? There
What
has
if
to be something
Fetterman's like-
seriously wrong with you.
I called gentleman from Kansas. I want some of your milk, please. Down the milk.
That's what he was doing in the back room. He was milking Fetterman back there.
Glad to let you know that I did speak to the chancellor yesterday, and Coach Self is healing up very nicely and be ready for next year's basketball season.
Yeah, right.
You run the Watered Gardens Ministry, and I would just like to hear a little bit more about that. What is your mantra? What drives you to do it? Tell me about the success of it, and what's that feel good moment for you?
And how do you feel about milk?
Thank you, Senator.
1%, 2%, whole butter.
Many feel-good moments in this kind of work that we do, but certainly
Okay,
seeing people.
Mr. Whitford, you're out of your
bulls
league
with
here.
them.
These
We come into our
women are
shelter with
cleaning your
what
clock
we
and
track
taking all the
these, and
money.
it's not-
So don't.
It's not.
I should probably listen to what he has
over
to say.
there, but I'm sure you're still rooting for the Jayhawks. Part of this.
Oh,
No,
geez.
no,
More milk?
I'm seeing a lot of people coming in that don't have any intention or desire to work. There is an entitlement mentality that's become pervasive in our nation. We see it come through the doors of our mission every day. And then what we have to do is we have to be great sources of inspiration.
Yeah.
And to provide relational accountability in order to help people realize that they are created in the image of God, created in the image of a maker, and are therefore built and intended to make, to produce, and to contribute, not to be stuck on the
Amen.
receiving end of someone's benevolence.
And then the long-term success, and you can define success how you want to.
And a woman.
The folks that have a job, do they seem to be more fulfilled? Do they have purpose in life? Or are they bouncing back sooner?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Dude,
this
he's
is what we
coked
find.
out of his
That's why we do
mind.
work
That's some
first. So you
fucking
come into
cocaine
our
in that
mission,
milk.
and we want to
Right.
employ you right off the bat, because we don't just see a person who's disabled or a person who's lacking capacity, but people who have ability and capacity and potential. And when we start with employment,
Oh, I know
it
what
begins
it
to
is.
energize them, because
All
we're
the
built for that. And so-
amphetamines that Fetterman is on, amphetamine. When they milked him, it went into the milk, so he drinks the milk and he's getting tweaking out.
Well, so those that are just listening, if anybody is, this dude took a big swig of milk. Spud says he just fulfilled his obligation to the dairy lobby in the most obvious and cringe display ever. I don't know. I think the most cringe display is Fetterman getting up there and talking in the first place. But yes,
So
good
that's
point.
what leads to more successful outcomes. But again, it's a fight. There's a great tension in what we're trying to do. And
Mr. Chairman, I'll yield back.
Thank you,
the
Senator.
milk.
Spill his milk. Spill your milk.
I now recognize Senator Bennett for 5 minutes.
Took
Thank you, Mr.
half of a
Chairman.
baby
It's good to
sip.
see you in this role. Thank you for having me today. I'm not on the committee, but I know how the world, Mr. Chairman, it's true. And we have the worst income inequality that we've had.
I think what's
Oh.
interesting in here is those oops, hey, sorry about that. Those okay, let's take a look here. Sorry, let me go back. Look at all these empty seats. So they come in, they say their little part, and then they leave. They're not really interested in
Yeah.
getting much out of this other than their time on the camera. I think that's pretty interesting.
Since the
Oh, wait. Oh, he's drinking about milk
again.
again.
Economic mobility that we've had in generations and lower economic mobility. I'm sad to say this, than many other industrialized countries in the world that we compare ourselves to.
These people.
And do I think there's some people that don't work? If given the opportunity to work, probably. But I think what's much more likely the case,
What a
based
dumb
on
fuck.
the parents, the families that I've worked with, is that people are working. People are killing themselves. They're not just working; their kids are working.
Drop this dude
So
off
when
in the
you're
projects for a
in
week.
a
See what
family's
happens.
house and you go,
It's like
you
he
know,
wasn't
you're
around for
superintendent, you show up,
2020 to
and I did show up
2022 when
under these
unemployment, and they were
circumstances when
forcing
kids
people
weren't
not to
going
work, and it was
school, you know,
boon, and they're
and
sending them
then
money.
on a morning after. And you'd say, well, why, you know, on a morning they'd miss school. And I'd say, well, why have you missed school? And they said, because I was working until 12 o'clock last
That's
night
not happening.
at McDonald's down the street. Because we don't have the sense to give kids in this country.
This is Colorado.
They're
better off
to
missing-
go to
they're
school
better
when
off
it makes
missing
sense
school
for
and
them.
getting
We have
work.
a one-size-fits-all approach to public education that makes it hard, I think, for kids.
First of all, if he's asking, he's asking kids this. I mean, he's out there doing this. Two, if the kids miss school or late to school, they're making up an excuse. Oh, I'm working. No, you're not. You were on your video games or on OnlyFans for all hours of
For
the
working families to work in the ways that they want to work and be able to support their kids. I know Ms. Jones-Cox knows that we spent a lot of time working on the child tax credit a few years ago to
Mr.
cut
Bennett.
childhood bureaucratic kids, you know, those for our kids. So from my point of view, you know, we are living in the richest country in the world, and our level of childhood poverty is criminal. It's inexcusable. It's immoral. It's unacceptable. And I think we should end it. I think cutting it in half was a good start, and I'm very sad.
I know how we can
How about
fix
a
it.
war on poverty?
Worked.
Yeah.
We said it was going to do.
If we just
And,
print more
you know,
money
for
and give
me,
it to them,
and I'm not talking about people
they won't
who
be
are on this
poor
side of the
anymore.
aisle. I'm talking about in the other house of Congress, to see people.
All right. Benzo pulls out, showing she's not quite down. By law, children who are in school are only allowed to work between certain hours. So that's a lie. That's completely correct. I have
Yeah,
kids that
but
are
when-
16-year-old that wants to work more and more. And they can't.
Who obeys the law? Come on now.
Well, he said McDonald's. I mean, there's no way McDonald's is so in need of a 10-year-old or 12-year-old or 16-year-old, whatever he said. So he's once again.
I mean, I had friends that
blew up
were
this
in
deficit.
high school working at the Sonic down the street that would work that late and miss school the next morning. It's not out of the question. They didn't obey the law, but they're better off, like I said, at work than they are at public school. So I don't give a damn.
Right, but yes, okay, but those people are voluntarily. Like my son wants to work more and more. I mean, he's literally quitting his varsity baseball to go work because he wants to buy a truck. Yeah, not happening. True, they would actually be better off on the schools than on schools, with less than 30% reading and math proficiency. I think she worded that in a way that makes me look like I don't have math or reading proficiency either.
So that the wealthiest people in America could have tax cuts when we have the worst income inequality since the 1920s. That makes no sense to me.
Well, let's make everybody have
That's
equal
a
income.
handout that
That's
makes
smart.
no sense to me. When we have a solution for the childhood poverty that we are facing, and the idea that we
Everyone gets $1.
Are
Try not to spend it all in one place.
over the school lunch program or over SNAP doesn't make any sense to me. So, Ms. Cox, with my
A lot
last
doesn't make
22
sense to you.
seconds, sorry to go on for so long, but you know, to the families in Colorado,
This
and
dude
to
would be
the-
great on
and to
Yellowstone.
and I guess what I'd say, just two things. One, is it true that there are no work requirements when it comes to SNAP? And two, what's it going to mean to families? You know, 2/3 of the folks that get SNAP are living in families with children in Colorado. What's it going to mean to those children if we cut these programs the way these folks have been talking about?
Okay, real quick. So no, it is not true that there aren't current work requirements in SNAP. There are. We've been talking about them. There's a 3-month time limit for individuals not working out of 3 months. So, I mean, out of 3 years. So there is work requirements. And the second, the proposal that was placed by Representative Johnson, for Colorado in specific, it would be 115,000 SNAP participants in households that would be at risk of losing SNAP. So if we're looking at those households with children 7 and below, or we're going from age 50 to 64. So it's a lot of people in Colorado that would be at risk of losing benefits.
And I know my time is up and I'm done, but let me just say, what I saw when the child tax credit went away, the enhanced child tax credit went away, was food pantries just, go up like this, skyrocket like this. And I think we're going to see the same thing here,
Like what?
Ms. Hasty. I don't know.
This guy, I just was looking him up real quick because I'm like, Colorado is just, I mean, it's not unless you're right downtown. There's just, it's white, it's suburban. I don't know. It's, he was superintendent of the Denver public school systems.
Of course.
His dad was a lifelong former State Department official. I mean, he's just your typical piece of shit. He was born in New Delhi. I mean, he's been all around the world. Yeah. Oh, his mom was a Jewish Holocaust survivor. There you go.
Oh, no way.
If you had the benefit of the child tax credit or not.
Of course she was.
Probably a fake story too.
When I say every single time, I mean every single time. You went early life check.
What that enhanced.
So the problem, Benzo says, fun game. Guess each speaker's political affiliation, and then when they start speaking, and then fact check yourself on screen. You'll be right every time. Well, yeah, I could see the Democrats are all sitting on the left of the table. The Republicans are on the right. It's somewhat making it difficult for me to be wrong, but I get your point. Oops.
I'm sorry to surprise you with it because this is
No, I'm sorry.
But what that extra money meant in terms of the child tax credit during COVID.
The extra child tax credit, I mean, me personally, in my own experience, allowed me to pay back rent.
How much were you getting?
This woman makes terrible decisions.
Helpful. It was,
right.
Like I said in my testimony, I mean, it's not an unfamiliar story that.
What were the baby daddies doing?
It helped just take a huge weight off my shoulders.
Have you heard her mention the fathers of her children once?
No.
The stress.
Of course, I have been skipping around.
What it really, Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you. And I apologize to my colleague for going over.
Apology not accepted.
Thank you, Senator.
And then he's going to leave.
And especially thank to every one of you, the witnesses today that came in to hear from you all today. So thank you. Protecting SNAP and preventing fraud isn't a Republican or Democratic issue, though. I think everyone agree on that.
Wait. Say that again.
Thank you. Protecting SNAP and preventing fraud isn't a Republican or Democratic issue, though.
Of course it is. I mean, you're right. They're both in the bag for it, but the Democrats do want to protect SNAP and do want to continue fraud because that is really the same thing.
So
I don't understand how
everyone agree on that. It's time for the USDA and state agencies updated their technology security to prevent fraud. I would hope we all agree. I intend to strengthen the USDA's tools to existing mandate to do so.
Yeah, you have a point.
Do we need to get him, a gold star or something for for the day for doing his job?
Yeah.
USDA is already making significant efforts to modernize SNAP and its nutritional assistance. One of these efforts are updating the Thrifty Food Plan, which we now have discussed today. This update is a
how many smiley faces you think are on that piece of paper he's reading?
Working Americans who need it. We have to work to protect SNAP for the 21st century, and I look forward to working with my colleagues to getting that done.
You go.
I heard from one.
They're all gone. By the way, that's hilarious. Just the optics of this. Let's play this one more time. And
I look forward to seeing my colleagues.
Have to work to protect SNAP for the 21st century, and I look forward to working with my colleagues to getting that done.
Yeah,
I heard from one respondent's theme during this hearing that those who use SNAP do not want to use it forever. I have never met any American that they hoping that they can stay on SNAP for their whole lives.
Well, you haven't met anybody that you can remember.
They need it.
Yeah.
SNAP is a program that helps individuals like Ms. Hasty and the people like Mr. Excuse me.
All right. So here's what we need to do, Tyler. We need to do a diagram of like a picture of John Fetterman, like an anatomy of John Fetterman, and put like a goldfish in his brain, a hamster wheel in his heart. Just which animals are controlling which body parts.
It's like a disco stew. His shoes, they're the see-through ones with the dead goldfish in there. That's exactly his brain at this point. If I was getting free food, why the F would I not want that indefinitely? Yeah, exactly.
Well, you get the behavior that you incentivize.
Oh, helps Americans.
I like what Spud said. The end of his sentences really sneak up on him.
With this, we need to pass a farm bill that works for everyday Americans. The record will remain for Abing for 5 more days. And now this hearing is adjourned.
Oh my God.
Let's watch that bang the gavel at the end. It's like he was a kid, he wanted to play with it.
Hell yeah.
That was worth it.
Look, I'm endorsing Fetterman for chair of the LP, for presidential nominee, all of that.
He and Joe Exotic.
Yes.
Okay, let's watch him walk out. Oh, the masked up piece of shit.
Oh, thank goodness he's wearing
Who's this guy? Who's this guy? What is this guy doing? Like the Femi guy with the earring.
The gay handler?
Yeah.
That's all
that
Washington.
Went back and churned his butter real quick.
He's about to break out a rag and wipe the drool off of.
He's really in control of him. I mean, I'll say this. I would imagine Fetterman is not he's too dumb to be like a mean guy. So, you know, if you're just like
he's reading off a prompter, just talking to him right there. You see this?
Oh my God. Wait. Are you kidding me?
Is this transcribing or is this a prompter?
That's bizarre.
What is that going on right there?
I bet it's transcribing the guy's conversation.
Oh, okay.
So that he knows what that guy's saying, but then he can't read it very well.
I've never seen that before.
Someone else, I think he had something like that they showed on the campaign trail.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like an interview, that kind of thing. Wow, he shows it to him all the time, so he just could always see what's happening. But he can't read well enough to like make it worthwhile, can he?
Yeah, well, he needs his glasses, right?
Okay, I think we've done it. How do you feel about that, Andy?
Oh, you know what? I feel good about it. I feel better than John Fetterman does. I don't think I'm gonna have to be treated for depression anytime soon after watching that.
Yeah. Did you see the Kamala Harris video that's been going around of her?
No.
Okay. I don't know if I could see it, but by the way, I just got this text message. It says, "Hi there." Oh no, it says, "Anna here. How are you, Mike?" ? And then she sent a picture of herself, and then she said, "Are you busy now?" No clue who this person is. Maybe we'll show this picture. See if I can bring this in. I mean, I'm not Mike, so this definitely isn't for me. Not letting me just.
I do not endorse Tyler's shenanigans on this show. He's got a good wife.
No, I don't even know what it. Anyway, I can't bring it in, but really
allegedly he's got a good wife.
I do. I got a solid wife. What do you think of the Steven Crowder divorce thing?
Well, I mean, it explains some of his recent behavior, right? But it's probably been coming for a while.
Yeah.
His wife had IVF babies, and he can't have any of his own.
Is that true?
I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Spud says she likes the hat.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really. I saw his little thing last night, and then Candace Owens going back at him, and I just think it's once again, it's two bad actors going at it, and I'm here for the fight. You know, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
It's like when I watch TV show that I hate everybody. It's like, oh, I hope you all die. Yeah, I'm not that I want them to die, but Spud says I haven't heard anything about Crowder stuff. I had no idea what's going on. There's a few things, Spud. We'll catch you up real quick. He fired Dave Landau, or Dave Landau didn't come back as the third chair. Check out Michael Malice's podcast with Dave. Actually, then Dave went on Cumia Monday, and there's some good stuff. So you get some behind the scenes stuff. Crowder's a real shithead. His whole contract issue with the Daily Wire brings some things into context that he's just as bad. Whatever.
If not worse. He offered a much worse contract to Landau.
Right, which some of the big things were that you couldn't, like if you and I are going back and forth here, and you know, those Dave Landau loves to like riff. He's kind of like the Dan Soder and Jay, how they just go down a rabbit hole, and next thing you know, they're just riff. He had a rule where he couldn't give the last line. He's like, there were so many times where you're like setting yourself up, and he's like, I had it, but you can't. Crowder has to have the last laugh. And then there was a do not talk button that Crowder would hit, and when it came on, the light came on, that was his rant, and you just you couldn't say anything. So these, you want him to move to Texas. Anyway, all kinds of crappy stuff. Then it just comes out where Crowder goes on there and before his show yesterday and did an announcement that he's getting a divorce, and unfortunately Texas allows people to get divorced without consent. So that's what he was basically saying. He said it twice, that he's upset that she's able to divorce him. So,
I mean, what's he going to do? Live with a miserable wife for eternity? Like,
well, his point is probably, yeah, she's been living with a miserable husband. So why not, just turn the table?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's funny. You know, these people that shit on our camp all the time are getting their just desserts. And I'm sure Nick Fuentes and the America First crowd, who they've had beef with, will now welcome him with open arms that he's divorced and gay. So,
yeah,
right.
and Owen Benjamin going at him hard yesterday with a lot of stuff.
Who has also done some. Owen Benjamin has had his fair share of gay shit. So, no
well, he
surprise
kept saying that Crowder was trying to get him to do gay shit, and he never got me an address and all this stuff. I'm like, whatever. I as it is, I don't really care. You know, people get divorced. I have, but I will also say this: that second wife, which is fantastic. And I make big efforts to make sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen again. You know, it's two people's fault. You don't just like decide one day you're going to have kids and then you're just going to be gone. You know, something happened, and I'm not saying it's all his fault. Obviously, he says it's all hers. She just wants to leave. Whatever. It's just an interesting thing that's coming out at this point.
Yeah, typical crybaby shit of I bear no responsibility in this. So, well, that's what I expect from people like Crowder.
Right. What's most interesting is, though, that he basically said this was private. A bunch of people knew, but they were kind of like sworn to secrecy. They, you know, for the kids' sake. And I'm like, but I get that, but you're also a public person.
Figure.
It's going to come out. It's going to come out, and to say that people didn't say it, okay, that's fine. But I guess he was saying that Candace Owens was threatening him, and he played a little clip that, you know, she knows something and she's going to say it if he doesn't, you know, I don't know, do something.
Yeah, he tried to act like it was blackmail or black female or something. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not a fan of her either.
Yeah, he should have. Why not just get out in front of this thing, you know? But this is typical Crowder shit. We saw it with the Daily Wire fucking pissing match where he threw a big fit about the contract he got, and it turns out, oh, he's actually given terrible contracts to his own employees. So, I mean, this is just a PR stunt on his behalf to, you know, grift off his own divorce, which shows you the kind of person that he is.
Right. Now, I think he had great points, which was able, you know, the recording and the friends and all that stuff are stupid, but he did have some great points, I thought, up against the Daily Wire of like, you could actually owe them a ton of money. And I know, I mean, you know, you go to work for a place like that, you don't have much. Let's say someone offered us, you know, a bunch of money to do this show. Be like, well, okay, yeah, because we have nothing, and it might be worth it. And then in the upside, you're just like, well, it's like a guy a rookie that comes in and signs a contract. You know, signs a contract, and you got him in there, and now he's blown up and he's a huge star, and he can make more. And he's like, yeah, you're like, yeah, but you're kind of on contract with us, so you're stuck here for a while.
Now you have you own my likeness and personality and voice in perpetuity forever and ever.
Yeah. So he had some great points, I think, on all that, but he's kind of shown to be, just as bad. So it's like it's what show was I using this with? It was Patrick McFarlane in Year Zero, where I'm talking about coming out and using certain people as the cornerstone of an issue. So using Kaepernick against police brutality, he's our standard bearer and he wears this Fidel Castro shirt. I'm like, this isn't, pick someone else. Anybody else you want to talk about. He's saying he's holding Castro up, who would imprison you, first and foremost. So sometimes you're not getting the right spokesman. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, it sucks for big conservatism, yeah. But they sure do pick them. Yep.
Spud says, remember Jared, the computer guy? It was not gay Jared, just suddenly left and could never talk about it. I'm sure there's an NDA. Yeah, because Dave Landau said that they were trying to get him to do an NDA stuff, and he's like, nope, no chance. So okay, that's what I had. A Fetterman watch going on.
How do you feel about the Fetterman first Fetterman episode?
That it almost lived up to everything I had hoped. You watch the House subcommittees and they talk, and there's like a bunch of back and forth, and it's kind of antagonistic or whatnot. I wanted some of that because I wanted to see if he can use his brain, and everything was scripted for him. I mean, even the conversation, as we saw, even the conversation afterward was scripted.
Will you be looking forward to some more Fetterman footage in the near future?
Yeah. Totally. I mean, we've got to run this kind of stuff. I mean, the point of the reason to do this, and I should probably play some Kamala Harris and some Joe Biden. These are just totally incompetent, brain dead people that we have going on. I mean, did you hear? I mean, seriously, the new Kamala Harris. I should probably find it.
Can we add Fetterman hitting the gavel to our intro or closing?
We should, huh? Let's see if we can find this one. I don't know if this is the one, but maybe we could bring this up here. We'll just play a few of the. Yeah, so we do need to do an exit or a new exit on the show. Let's see if we can play this one here.
So I think it's very important, as you have heard from so many incredible leaders, for us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist in our present, and to be able to understand where we exist in the moment as it relates not only to the past but the future. So
I don't trust anybody that talks with their hands that much.
I talk with my hands, so watch out. Hey, Chat GPT, write me a speech showing me how ridiculous democracy is, and there you go. That's what they came up with.
Write me a speech in the style of John Fetterman.
There you go. Poem style of Fetterman. We should do a Chat GPT one. Is there anything else going on? Tucker Carlson. Before I head out here, I got to do some work today. Got to make some money, Annie.
We talked about Tucker last night. What else? What you thinking?
I just was listening to a few podcasts about, I listened to Robbie Bernstein this morning talking about some, possibilities of why he was canned or whatnot. I don't know if you've heard anything else. I think that's an interesting thing to do to go down.
Anti-Semitism on set.
Maybe, I don't know.
That's what the LA Times was reporting, I think.
It's all an excuse because you're going to, they sat by Bill O'Reilly for a while when he was talking about someone rubbing a loofah on him and whatnot until they don't want to stand by you anymore. And I don't think Tucker was at that point. For some reason, they just wanted to get rid of him.
Yeah. I think what'd be more interesting to me is see where his contract is, I guess. And, how long he has to remain basically on the sidelines before he can do anything else. Cause I don't think he's just going to go away.
There was an interesting interview I heard. So Glenn Beck interviewed Bill O'Reilly yesterday and Megyn Kelly, and talked to them both about this. Bill O'Reilly was interesting because, Bill got canned from Fox, and he's like, there's no NDA. He's like, if anything, there's one for a direct competitor type, CNN, I don't know if it's the case, if you can enforce that, if you get fired though. So, there may be some problems with that. If you decide to leave, then it's a different situation. But he's like, but that's not where he's going to create his own little production company. He's going to do a podcast. And then Bill said, he goes, look, I do TV. I've got my own production thing. And then I do these 300 different radio station updates. He's like, I'm doing more than I ever did working for Fox as far as money wise. You're like, okay. Cause you're cutting out the middleman and you're taking it all in yourself. Yeah. I think that's, Megyn Kelly's done that. Glenn Beck's done that. Bill O'Reilly's done that. He's going to start a podcast easily because he is when he would do his little Fox Nation podcast stuff, it was interesting. And now, granted, I only watched the Louis J. Gomez one.
He had on Curtis Yarvin too, right?
Yeah, I didn't watch that one. Was it good?
Some of those, I didn't watch it either, but I saw one or two of them that I can recall watching them, but I can't remember who the guest was that were pretty decent. I mean, Tucker is a populist, and what I was saying last night, like he has a way to activate the boomer waffen better than anybody else can.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, the podcast like that, it's really about getting something out of your guest and having a conversation and just being able to, riff back and forth. And a big name can get a big and it's not so much when you do something like that, like Bill Maher has one where he sits in his house and they drink and they smoke and they talk. I'm not really interested in Bill Maher. I'm interested in that he can get someone, big guest coming in there. And that's kind of the interesting part. So that's what Tucker will be able to do. But he won't go. No, CNN knows they don't want him. And that's the only NDA that he would be able to, they would have, would be a similar type of media.
Well, he used to work for MSNBC, right? Back in the day?
I believe so. Yeah. And CNN too, I believe. And Crossfire. Yeah. Then he was wore a bow tie.
What if Tucker Carlson just becomes an environmental eco-terrorist?
There were pictures of him last night with, and I don't know if it was last night, but it was, I don't know, if Alex Jones's wife. So a picture of Tucker and Alex, and then Tucker and Alex's wife.
Dude, Tucker on InfoWars would be lit.
Yeah, but he could demand so much more. Something there. So.
Yeah, but it would just be awesome to have him on that brand.
All right. So we did Fetterman. Anything? What do you think? What would be the next step that we'd want to watch? Something like this. Anything else you could think of?
Well, like you, I'm hoping for a little bit more something confrontational with Fetterman. He needs more mic time. After the debate. Yeah. I'm glad he's happy and healthy and fully cognizant. So we should be seeing more of him soon in the future. I don't know what kind of role he'll be in DC, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, completely. And I just heard that Biden, he's running and that he's saying he's not going to debate anybody. And then, so they're not going to have debates. This is just, if you care about democracy, if that's your whole thing that you always talk about, like your brother Jones there, this is not what you would expect out of something that you hold high, right? Debates, being able to ferret out that this old senile guy, but like Joe Walsh or some of the other people is like, oh, I hate Trump so much, I'm going to do everything I can to get Biden reelected.
No, they'll make him debate, dude, because they make so much money off those debates and advertising, and it's all a big dog and pony show. Is he just saying he won't debate somebody like RFK? Or
like the internal debates, and I think you're gonna,
he won't debate anybody. He won't debate any Democrats.
Yeah,
but do you think he'll debate a Republican, whoever wins the primary?
Well, I think you would have to. I mean, but then Trump said the same thing. He's not going to do, and I think it's debates within their own party. So Trump's not going to debate DeSantis. Biden's not going to date RFK or Marianne Williamson.
I love it. I love it. I like that it's dropped all pretenses,
No, yes, I get that, but I want to do this what we're doing today. That's what I want to do. I want to watch a debate where you crazy batshit. Biden just came out with he dropped his thing about running for office, and this is a polished video. It's not like us here just riffing around, and he can't say the word freedom correctly. I was like, how many takes until they said that one will do? So it's shocking, and that's the kind of stuff I'm here for.
All right. Well, from our perspective, yes, it gives us less content and stuff to review, to watch. But in the long run, I do enjoy that it's dropped all pretenses. There never was a debate, anyways. And
by the way, you don't need a debate between one's been president, the other one's been president and vice president. You don't need a debate to see the differences in their policies. I'm just talking about two super old people. I want to see their cognitive. I want to see how much and Fetterman they're on.
You want to watch the car crash, and everybody does. I do too.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. Okay, Andy. Anything else before we skedaddle for the day?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, everybody, I appreciate you coming in, hanging out with us for a while. We are going to books. We got to do book stuff still, Andy. What's your plan?
I mean, let's finish this. When you want to finish, do the rest of the respondent. Let's do it. Let's knock it out in like one day. Like, we can finish this book pretty quick. And if we need to cut it up in 2 different parts in one day, we could do that like we did last time and just get through it.
Okay, let's do it. Maybe this Friday. I just settled the trial today, our settlement conference. It's all settled, so no trial next week. Maybe we can do that. Okay? All right, everybody.
All right.
Like us, subscribe to us, go to Rumble, LPR. Boom, there's our stuff there. All right, thanks. Thanks, Andy.
Later.
Bye.
Okay, I'm leaving now. Bye, guys.
But she's back. Chick-fil-A is completely overrated. It's not that good. I prefer Zaxby's. I prefer Popeyes.
Takes a tough man to make a tender forecast, Nick. And I guess that's me. Keep fucking that chicken.
Should I vote for Dick Cheney on the Libertarian Party? Do I have an obligation to vote for Dick Cheney?
I would say so.
Yes.
Did it work for those people?
No, it never does. I mean, these people somehow delude themselves into thinking it might, but it might work for us.
That one dude was like, not a podcast. I can't find it anywhere. And they don't have video.
Oh, yeah, Peter Janke. Yeah.
Yeah, I blocked him.
I'll do it. If he unblocks me,
He'll buy your shirt if you unblock him, Bert. He's a wigger.
Yeah, nothing cooler than a 49-year-old wigger. I just started live streaming. Cut me some slack. I'm pretty high tech for a boomer. But anyways,
boomer.